Welcome back to another video from skiboatpartsonline.com. My name is Ron, and thank you for watching these videos. If you like them, remember to subscribe. In part 6, this video, we're going to actually digress just a little bit to take a much closer look at repairing the transom, particularly the swim platform bracket attachment areas. This is a common issue with the older ski boats where wood was used as a core to reinforce the transom to stiffen it up for the brackets. Over the years, the wood has accumulated some water, began the rot process, and now the swim platforms are loose and will not tighten up. Obviously, the fuel tank needs to be removed to both assess the issue and to do the repair. That's already been done. Both the port and starboard bracket area on this boat have been rotten for some time. Somebody actually installed a block of white plastic board to help stiffen it up and put longer bolts in. Now, for the older boats, if you do not have what we call the well, it's a dished out area of the floor as shown here, and all you see is flat floor and perhaps the top two bolts coming through, you will need to cut the floor to create this well to gain access to the lower bolts. Here's a little closer look at one of the wells, as I call it. The main stringer is on the left, the floor and the hull side would be to the right. I've removed that plastic board someone had added to this bracket. You can see the debris and trash that's collected over the years inside the well. For those without a molded in well, you will need to cut your floor at about a 6-inch wide by 7-inch deep area. Use your favorite saw, perhaps an oscillating saw is a pretty clean, easy way to do this. Then dig the foam out below it. When finished, you can simply wrap some fiberglass down into the well to create a new sealed area. A small oscillating electric tool with an aggressive bit or blade on the front of it will do a pretty good job. It's a little bit slower, or perhaps a lot slower, but it's a lot cleaner and a lot less dust. You won't have to suit up like I have to do here. We're using again a very aggressive diamond cutting wheel, air powered, and I'll wear leather gloves and a full face shield. It's not that cool out, but I'm wearing a sweatshirt and the old coveralls to act as a filter to keep that glass dust off my skin. If you're using a small oscillating saw, you can do this with a vacuum cleaner hose nozzle near your cutting, and you can stay clean and dry cutting it that way. The plywood panel that was glassed into this transom was one piece that was cut that goes from side to side and only encompasses the transom eye area, the swim platform bracket area, comes across the center of the bilge and encompasses the exhaust ports. Now, the wood in the exhaust port area was solid yet. Of course, it doesn't have to do a whole lot. There's not much load there. But on this boat, the well area with the platform bracket and the area that encompasses the transom eyes was completely rotten and soft. So both the transom eyes were loose. So we're going to repair this whole section on both the port side and the starboard side. Now what you want to cut is the fiberglass laminates that are on top of the plywood, holding the plywood to the transom. All we're doing is, you can see the raised seam or raised area. You just cut in the middle of that raised area to cut the laminates away to expose the what remains of the wood reinforcing. If you're lucky, that's going to be very rotten and it peels out quite easily. If it's still got a little bit of strength left to the wood or some solidity to it, it gets a little more difficult to peel and cut that out. Here we've removed most of the wood. It's scraped it out in little pieces. Now you can see the difference between the one side where it's been removed and then surface sanded smooth We still have to do the other side and clean it up. But in the middle, you see all the debris and crud that came out of there. Not very good looking wood core anymore. Now, in an earlier video, you learned that this particular boat has water saturated flotation foam. So in this case, the rear floor sections have already been cut out on both the port and starboard side to facilitate removing the flotation foam. But it also makes it a lot easier to see the transom repair that we've done. Both sides in this photo have been surface sanded. You have to grind and or sand. I will use a 36 grit sanding disc to clean and really scratch the fiberglass transom area in preparation for the replacement material to go in there. Next step is to create a paper pattern for the repair panel that's going to be laminated against the transom. Now you can use plywood if you want to. It will eventually rot again. In this case, it lasted probably 20 years. We prefer to use a high density foam board. I've also had guys use aluminum, but there is some curvature to that transom, and aluminum is a little bit too dense and doesn't like to form or form to the transom when you're looking at this large of a panel. If you're just doing the small swim platform bracket area, let's say you need a piece that's 4 inches or 3 inches wide by maybe 6-7 inches tall, you can get away with using some 1/4 inch aluminum plate right there. It may be more accessible to you than the foam board is. Now, we don't have the best picture here, but in this shot, the replacement high density foam board is bonded to the transom using a thickened resin mixture. You butter the back side of the board after the transom is clean and dry, and then you press it against it. What's not shown in the picture is the wood blocking that I use to put pressure against it. Sometimes you get creative with a small bottle jack I've used in the past. Anything to push and keep pressure of that new board against the transom while that cures. Another important tip here, on that replacement panel, regardless of what the material is, you want to bevel the edges, like at a 45-degree angle, knock the hard edge off, so when it comes time to wrapping the glass over it, it will conform much better. After our new core material has been bonded into the transom, and again surface sanded to get any of the sharp little edges off of there, then I will pattern and create and cut the new glass pieces that are going to go cover that. In this case, we're going to use some CSM chopped strand mat, followed up with some 24-ounce woven roving. In this case, I prefer the woven roving because it will conform to the various contours and all the little nooks and crannies that it's going into. And then on top of that, we're going to add some 1708 fab mat, particularly over the transom eye area to reinforce that. If you look close, you'll see a fan sitting there. You're going to be in close quarters back underneath this transom. The fumes are going to get intense. I like to evacuate those fumes, get them out of the boat and into the shop air where we've got pretty good sized exhaust fans that are drawing that out. So just make note of that. Now we're in the home stretch. The core has replaced the rotten wood. It's been glassed over, bonded into the transom. We got plenty of glass now and high density foam board to carry these loads. Now I'm going to use 3M 5200 on top of the stringers, a nice thick bead there, and then we're going to set that floor panel back in place. Okay, we're going to finish by putting the floor back on the 5200 with some new stainless steel screws. In a few weeks, I will amend this video to include bolting the platform brackets on and the stainless fender washers that we're going to use. But until then, thanks for watching this video. remember to hit subscribe, and I think you can also put a note there to remind you when new videos come out. Thank you, and God bless.